Welcome to the North Carolina Electronic Vendor Portal registration course. Please note that your audio should be turned on for the duration of the course. The North Carolina Electronic Vendor Portal, EVP, is a web-based application that allows companies and individuals to register to do business with the state of North Carolina. This application allows vendors to register for the Department of Administration's procurement-related systems and programs in one central location, including the Interactive Purchasing System, the statewide Uniform Certification Program for historically underutilized businesses and minority and women-owned business enterprises, and NCE procurement. In addition, an EVP account enables vendors to use the NC Bids feature of the IPS website to respond electronically to specified solicitations. During this training course, you will learn how to register your company to do business with the state of North Carolina through EVP. We will walk through the details of completing each step of the registration process, from navigating to the EVP website and creating your user profile to reviewing your vendor summary page. Let's start with understanding the reasons for registering your company with EVP. There are three key reasons you may decide to register your company with EVP. First, EVP allows you to register to receive notifications from the Interactive Purchasing System. Registering with IPS allows you to receive email notifications for North Carolina goods and services solicitations based on designated commodity construction codes as set in your EVP profile, and to respond to specified solicitations electronically by using the NC Bids feature of the IPS website. Second, to become a certified North Carolina historically underutilized business, or HUB, certified vendor, you must apply for HUB certification through EVP. Finally, you can register to become an NCE procurement vendor. NCE procurement is the statewide web-based purchase order system that provides a cost-saving and efficient method of purchasing. Registering as an NCE procurement vendor allows you to receive purchase orders from any participating buying entities. Now that we've discussed the reasons for registering, let's go over how to access the EVP Register Vendor page. To access the Register Vendor page, navigate to vendor.ncgov.com. This is where you will begin the EVP registration process. As we walk through the registration, keep an eye out for expandable hints. These will give you more information about common questions that users may have on each page and can be expanded and collapsed as you need them. Now, let's get started with creating a user profile. On the Register Vendor page, you'll need to populate the vendor name, vendor type, and federal tax ID number fields. First, enter your company name in the vendor name field. Keep in mind that this should be the name of your business as you would like it to appear to the state of North Carolina. The field is limited to 50 characters, so you should enter the name without abbreviations for as much of the name as the system permits. Next, select the appropriate vendor type from the drop-down. If you are a U.S. vendor, make that selection. If you are a foreign vendor, choose the appropriate value between foreign vendor with U.S. federal tax ID number and foreign vendor without U.S. federal tax ID number. If you indicate that you are a foreign vendor without a U.S. federal tax ID, the system will automatically generate and assign a FOR value that will allow you to complete the registration process. Upon selecting a value from the vendor type field, a light box titled Notice and Recommendation Concerning Social Security Numbers will appear. Read the information in the box carefully and click OK when you are finished. Finally, enter your company's federal tax ID number, or Federal Employer Identification Number, into the Federal Tax ID Number field. Be sure to enter the number without the dashes. You'll need to re-enter your Federal Tax ID Number into the Re-enter Federal Tax ID Number field as a confirmation step. Please note that if you selected foreign vendor without U.S. Federal Tax ID Number, the Federal Tax ID Number fields will be grayed out. Check to be sure that all fields have been populated correctly. Once you've reviewed each field, click Register to begin creating your profile. After clicking the Register button, you will reach the Create Your Profile page. There are several fields you need to complete to provide more information about your company. First, enter your first name in the first name field and your last name in the last name field. You will also need to provide your email address in the Email and Re-enter Email fields. A verification email will be sent to this address, so make sure it is one that you have access to. Then, select your country or region in the Country Region dropdown. This field will default to United States. Next, enter your phone number in the phone number field and add your extension if applicable. You may choose your title if you choose. This would be your job title, such as president or manager. Then, create your username. Keep in mind that it must be between 6 and 20 characters long. This username will not be used by other users to log in, so it should be one that is unique to you and easy for you to remember. Continue on to the next slide for details on setting up your password and security questions. Once you've entered your basic user profile information, you'll need to complete the password and security question fields. There are a few requirements to keep in mind when setting your password. Please note the password requirements listed on the screen, and be sure that the password you choose meets those requirements. Your password should be between 8 and 35 characters long. Next, you'll need to choose 3 security questions and provide the answer for each one. Security questions are important because they will be used to verify your identity if you cannot access the system. Each security question can only be selected once, and the answers to the security questions must only contain alphanumeric characters. Once you've chosen your password and all 3 security questions and answers, review the page to ensure all details have been populated correctly. Then click the Create Profile button. Once you click the Create Profile button, a verification email will be sent to the email address that you provided on the previous page. If you need the email to be resent, click the Request Another Email link. Then, access the email and click on the link in the verification email. This link will direct you to a login page, where a message will display stating that your email confirmation was successful. Now, we're going to create an example registration for a company that we'll call New EVP Vendor. First, we'll go to the EVP website. You'll notice that we are brought directly to the Register Vendor page. Here, we need to provide our basic company information. We will start by entering the company name, which is New EVP Vendor. Then, we'll set the vendor type dropdown to US Vendor. As you can see, a light box appears displaying a notice and recommendation concerning Social Security numbers. Be sure to review this notice before clicking OK. Now we'll enter the federal tax ID number. We will use a fictitious tax ID number for demonstration purposes only. Once all the fields are populated, we'll click Register to start the registration process. After clicking Register, we're brought to the Create Your Profile page. Here, we will populate the details for our user profile by entering the information for all of the required fields. Please note that this information is made up and for demonstration purposes only. First, we'll enter Jamie in the first name field and Smith in the last name field. Next, we will enter j.smith@zzz.com in the email field. We will need to enter the email a second time to confirm. As you can see, the country region dropdown is defaulted to United States. Next, we'll enter 555-875-9000 in the phone number field and 6700 in the extension field. In this case, we are the operations manager of our company, so we'll enter the operations manager in the title field. Next, we'll create a username between 6 and 20 characters. Let's enter NCVendor1. Now it's time to set our password. We're going to choose a secure mix of letters, numbers, and special characters. Finally, we need to set up 3 security questions and answers. For the first question, we'll select, what was the name of your first pet? And enter the answer, Spot. For the next question, we'll pick, in which city was your mother born? And enter the answer, Raleigh. For the third question, we'll choose, which city were you born in? And enter the answer, Charlotte. Once we've reviewed the information, let's click Create Profile. A verification email will be sent to the email address that we provided. Here's the verification email that was just received. We'll click on the indicated link in order to verify their email is valid. Clicking that link brings us to the login page, and we're presented with a message that the email verification was successful. We'll need to log back in with our established login information in order to continue on with the registration process. After we verify our email address and have logged back in, we'll be brought to the registration type page. Continue on to learn about the registration type and company information pages. The registration type page is where you will choose the programs in which your company will participate. You may choose to be part of one or multiple programs. And don't worry, you do not need to register for all programs now. If you register to receive electronic bid notifications from IPS today, but don't have all the information you need to register to be an NCE procurement vendor, you can always update your account later to add NCE procurement registration. Hub certification does require IPS registration, so be sure to start IPS registration to complete the Hub certification process. Selecting NCE procurement registration will allow your company to receive purchase orders from state agencies, community colleges, K-12 school systems, and local governments. IPS registration will allow your company to receive email notifications of procurement and construction opportunities based on the commodity and construction codes designated in your EVP profile, and to respond to specified solicitations electronically by using the NC Bids feature of the IPS website. Finally, applying for Hub certification will allow vendors to request to be certified as a historically underutilized business with the state of North Carolina. The selection that you make on this page will impact the information that is collected throughout the rest of the registration process. We will now register our company for NCE procurement, IPS, and apply for NC Hub certification. Make sure you review the required information needed for each program and take the time to gather the information before you start the registration process. If you'd like to learn more about any one of these programs, you can click the Learn More button for additional information. By clicking View Terms of Use in each section, you'll also be able to view the terms of use that you'll need to agree to for that service. First, we will check the box beside each registration type that we would like to participate in. For our example company, this will be all three: NCE procurement, IPS, and Hub. You'll see a note under the Start Hub Certification Process text that indicates that you must also elect to start the IPS registration process in order to complete this option. Once you've selected the appropriate registration types, click the Next button to save the selections and advance to the next page. You will have the ability to update the selections on this page up until the point at which the terms of use are accepted. Next, we need to provide more details about our organization on the Company Information page. This page consists of three sections: General Vendor Information, Tax Information, and Business Characteristics. Each section can be expanded or collapsed by clicking the arrow in the top right corner of the section. Let's pick up from where we left off previously, having just saved our registration type selections for our vendor, New EVP Vendor. Next is the General Vendor Information section. The only required field in this section is the vendor name. This will be defaulted based on the vendor name that you entered on the initial registration page. Please note that this should be the company name, as the state of North Carolina buyers would recognize your company. We're going to keep the defaulted value, New EVP Vendor. If you have it, enter your company's website, Ariba Network ID, and Dun & Bradstreet number. If you want more information on the Ariba Network ID or the Dun & Bradstreet number fields, place your mouse over the information icon. We will not complete these fields for this example. Be sure to note the customer number generated for your company in the General Vendor Information section, as you may be asked for this number when working with the State North Carolina buyers or the EVP Help Desk. Next is the Tax Information section. Information entered into EVP is shared with state agencies, community colleges, and K-12 school financial systems. Tax information collected here is shared to allow these entities to make payments to your company. But don't worry, your information is transmitted securely and is not displayed to users outside of your company. The federal tax number is defaulted based on the information entered during the initial registration request. This information is no longer editable. Let's continue answering the questions about our company. For the first question, are you registering as an individual or sole proprietorship? We'll choose No. Note that for the response for is your business based in North Carolina is defaulted to yes. Since we're based in North Carolina, we'll leave that one as is. Please note that as a part of the registration process, your company's information will be verified against the United States Internal Revenue Service, IRS, Taxpayer Identification Number records. Until this match has occurred, your company's IRS verification status will remain in pending status. Once matched, your status will change to verified or not verified, depending on the result of this match. The value that will be used for matching is the vendor name on tax documentation value, so make sure that that field is populated correctly. As you can see, the IRS verification status for a company is currently in pending status. If you are re-registering your company because of a federal tax ID number change, please enter your company's previous federal tax ID number for reference purposes. The last section on the company information page is the business characteristics page. The information in this section is used to determine NCE procurement fee eligibility, among other things. These answers are defaulted but can be changed. For our company, we will only update the answer for "Is your business classified as a small business?" As you can see, when we hover over the information icon, a retail business with annual sales and receipts of $500,000 or less qualifies as a small business. Let's say our company fits this qualification. We'll update this answer for this question to yes, and we'll leave all other answers as they are, as they've already been defaulted. Now that we've provided these details and answered the questions on the company information page, we'll click the Next button to continue. Now let's talk about adding contacts and addresses. Before we go over the details of adding contacts and addresses, let's talk about how they'll be used in the remainder of the registration process. To better understand this, let's take a look at the diagram on this page. Starting from the outside, addresses and contacts will be added to EVP individually. Once added, addresses and contacts are used as inputs to create the specific contract location assignments. There may be up to 4 contact location assignments created and used as inputs for each location: an order from, remit to, bill to, and IPS contact/location assignment. Don't worry, you won't have to type in all this information each time. Later in the registration process, we'll show you how to pick up from your existing list of addresses and contacts. Now, the contacts that you learn how to add over the next few slides should be any contacts who would need to receive purchase orders, invoices, remittance, or electronic bid notifications. The addresses that you should add should be those physical addresses associated with ordering, remitting, invoicing, and bidding. Now that we've discussed how contacts fit into the bigger picture, let's look at the details, adding the contacts themselves. You will notice that the user who created the vendor account will be the main contact and account owner by default. As an account owner, you have the ability to create additional contacts on the account, remove your designation as the main contact and designate another contact as the main contact, and assign roles to account contacts. When completing this page, consider adding additional contacts, such as a contact who should receive payment of goods and services, a contact who should receive purchase orders, a contact who should receive invoices, and a contact who receives bid notifications. On the next page, we'll quickly walk through the process of adding a new contact, but for more detailed information on adding and managing contacts and their assigned roles, please view the Managing Contacts WBT. Let's continue on to add the contacts for our company. We can see on the contacts page that our contact information is auto-populated and we are set up as the main contact and account owner by default. Permissions associated with our contact information can be changed, and we'll discuss that process in just a moment. Let's say we have another colleague in our company that we'd also like to have access to our EVP account. We can go ahead and add this contact now. First, we'll click the Create New button. We need to enter all the relevant information for the contact, including the appropriate roles and permissions. As you can see, each role is described here, but additional information can be found in the Managing Contacts WBT. Please reference that for more details. We'll start by entering the user's name. We'll call him Joe Smith. In the email field, we'll enter joe@zzz.com. Keep in mind, as you're populating the email field, that each email address can only be used once on the account, so each user will need to be entered with a different email address. Let's add Joe's title, Assistant Manager, in the title field. We can leave the country region dropdown set to United States, and in the phone field, we will type 555-875-9550. Next, we'll need to assign the role for the contact. Let's assign Joe with the Account Manager role, with both account maintenance and location maintenance. Once the role has been selected, we'll click Save to save the new contact. When we click Save, an email will automatically be sent to the newly added contact inviting him or her to join the account. If we needed to add an additional contact, we could click the Create Contact button again. For now, we have the contacts we'd like to include, so we'll click the Next button to advance to the next page. The next step is to enter addresses related to your company. This will include all store locations, offices, etc. Adding an address once here will allow you to choose it for multiple locations on the next pages. Let's continue our scenario and enter a couple of addresses for later use. For each address, we'll need to enter all of the required information. Let's start by entering Accounting Office Address in the Address Name field. This name should be one that you will easily be able to recognize in the future. Next, we'll enter a street address, 15023 Canal Street, in the Street field. For the city, we'll enter Charlotte, and we'll set the state drop-down to North Carolina. Then we will enter 28201 in the zip field. Finally, we will set the NC County drop-down to Mecklenburg. We've now added all of the addresses that we need for our organization: our accounting office address, our distribution center address, and 2 of our retail store addresses. Let's click the Next button to continue on through the registration process. Now, let's talk locations. Once we've set up contacts and addresses, we reach the Locations page. This is the page where the contact and address information is combined to indicate where purchase orders, invoices, payment, and bid notifications should be sent for each location of the company. To better understand locations, let's go back to the diagram we saw previously. Each location is made up of contact and location assignments, commodity codes, construction codes, and contractor information. Contact location assignments are, in turn, made up of an address, a contact, and 1 to few additional pieces of information. Each location will have a total of 4 possible contact location assignments. Those are order from, remit to, bill to, and IPS. Now that we've added contacts and addresses, let's put this information together to create our locations that each subscribing service, such as NC eProcurement and IPS, will need. First, we'll need to name our location. It's important to note that buyers use the location name to select the destination for their purchase order. The location name should include any information needed to uniquely identify the location: the contact location assignment name, subsidiary business name, geographic location, product division, etc. We will name this first location New EVP Vendor Charlotte. Since we will be adding more than one location, this will help buyers distinguish between our different locations. Next, we'll select the checkbox beside Default Purchasing Location. This indicates that this location will be used as the default location in NC eProcurement for purchase order delivery. Buyers will still be able to select the other locations. This will just be the one that defaults when they first select your company. In the Location Contact section, the account owner will be selected by default. We will not make any changes to this section. In the NC eProcurement Order From section, we'll click the Create New button to create a new contact location assignment. This will indicate where purchase orders will be sent. Then, we'll enter New EVP Vendor Orders in the Order From Name field. Next, we will set the address name dropdown to New EVP Vendor Charlotte. We can set the contact name dropdown to Joe Smith, Assistant Manager. Next, we'll indicate the method by which we want to receive purchase orders. In the Ordering Method dropdown, let's set our preference to email. Then, enter New EVP Vendor at zzz.com in the Email and re-enter email fields. We can now click Save to save our new NC eProcurement Order From Contact Location assignment. In the dropdown, we will select New EVP Vendor. Next, we will need to complete the same process for the NC eProcurement Remit To and NC eProcurement Bill To contact location assignments. The NC eProcurement Remit To contact location assignment specifies where the payment for goods and/or services will be sent. The NCE Procurement Build To content location assignment specifies where invoices for the NCE Procurement transaction fee will be sent. Now we'll need to specify the content location assignment to which IPS bid notifications may be sent. This content location assignment will also display in the IPS directory and as a selectable hub location on the hub certification page, if applicable. In the IPS section, we'll click the Create New button to create a new content location assignment. Then we'll enter New EVP Vendor in the IPS name field. Next, we will set the address name dropdown to New EVP Vendor, Greensboro. We can set the contact name dropdown to Joe Smith, Assistant Manager. We'll enter the fax number 555-875-0000 in the fax field, and we'll enter 555-875-9650 in the toll-free phone field. Next, we need to indicate if we want to receive electronic notification of bids to this location. This is defaulted to yes. We will keep this selection as is. Let's select the Goods and Services box to receive notification of bids for goods, services, and commodities. In the drop-down, we will select New EVP Vendor. Now let's click Save to save these additions and move to the Commodity Code section of the Locations page. The North Carolina Division of Purchasing Contract uses NIGP and UNSPSC commodity code listings. Selection of commodity codes is optional. However, it will assist buyers when searching for and purchasing from vendors. For IPS registered vendors, the selections made below will determine notifications that may be sent via email. You do have the option to select multiple commodity codes, and there may not be a commodity code that specifically describes the commodities that your company provides. You may select the commodity code that fits best for you. Now we will add commodity codes for the products that our company offers. First, we'll click on the pencil icon to add commodity codes to the selected location. This will display the available commodity code categories to choose from, and we can expand these sections to view the specific commodity codes that fall under them. Let's say that our company sells office supplies. We'll expand the Office Supplies, Related Items, and Services section. Our company provides items that fall under commodity code classes 615, 610, and 620. We'll go ahead and select those three checkboxes. Now, we'll click Save to save our commodity code selections, and then we'll click the Next button to advance to the Construction Code section. Construction codes identify products and services provided by companies in the construction industry. The selection of construction codes is optional, but will assist buyers when searching for vendors. The selection of construction codes is the next step after we've selected commodity codes. We can click the pencil icon to view the construction codes available to select for the location. These are the sections of construction codes that we could choose from. Since construction codes do not apply to our company, we'll click the Next button. Contractor services identify the type of services that your company provides. Selection of contractor services is optional. However, it will assist buyers when searching for vendors. You do not have to be a licensed contractor in order to register. The selection of contractor services is the next step after the Construction Codes page. We can review the options available to select under Design Services and Construction Services. Since contractor services do not apply to our company, we will click the Next button. We've now completed all of the necessary details for our new location. Next, let's take a look at the Sourcing and Contracts Information page. Assigning a Sourcing and Contracts user will provide vendors with the ability to collaborate with participating government entities on in-process contracts. Users can receive messages and respond to tasks routed to them by the tool as a part of the contract management process. Future capabilities will enable users to receive and respond to bid requests in NCE Procurement. All vendors who choose to register for NCE Procurement are required to have a Sourcing and Contracts user selected.
Because we selected the NCE procurement registration type, we must also assign a sourcing and contracts user. Jamie is the default selection as they are the main contact for our account. If you have more than one user on your account, you may add them by using the drop-down menu, selecting the checkbox next to their name, and then by clicking the Add button to the right. If you wish to remove one of the users as an assigned contact, simply click the Delete button to the right. Once at least one contact is selected, we can click Next to advance to the next page.
Next, let's talk about requesting Hub certification. The Hub certification page will appear next if you selected the Hub registration type on the registration page. If you are interested in becoming a Hub certified vendor, select the appropriate categories and enter the information in the Ownership of Firm section. Upon completion of your vendor registration, additional documentation must be sent to the Hub office within 30 days of the certification application or request of certification. You may access the list of required documentation for Hub certification from the link on this slide. We will now walk through the Hub certification page. Let's say that our company is a minority-owned corporation that is located in North Carolina and the company will be registering to become a Hub vendor. The Hub status indicates the status of our Hub certification. This is currently set to Not Certified for our vendor as we have not yet completed the certification process. We will select New EVP Vendor, Charlotte, in the Hub Main Location dropdown. Please note that only locations that are participating in IPS are able to be the Hub Main Location. The contact for the IPS contact location assignment of the chosen location will be designated as the Hub Main Contact. Next, we'll select the Minority Hub category option and select Asian American from the dropdown. In the Ownership of Firm section, we will set the Ownership Type section to Corporation and we'll select June 1, 2014 in the calendar for the business start date. You'll need to enter at least one owner for our organization, so we'll click the Create New button to add an owner. Then we can enter Fred in the first name field and Smith in the last name field. Next, we'll enter 100 in the ownership and voting fields. Please note that for each voting and ownership percentage, the totals must sum to 100%. In the years owned field, we will enter 4. Next, we'll select Asian American in the race dropdown and male in the sex dropdown. We will set the person with disability field to No, then click Done to save this new owner. You'll notice the question below the owner asking, is management and daily business operations of this firm controlled by the person who owns at least 51% interest or stock in the firm? Depending on whether or not the owner manages daily operations of the firm, we will select the Yes radio button. Please note that additional documentation must be sent to the Hub office within 30 days of the certification application or request of certification. Click on the Hub office website hyperlink to view the list of required documents. Let's click the Save button to save the Hub information page, and the Next button to advance to the next page. Let's move to the last section of the training and the final 2 portions of the EVP vendor registration process. The final step of registration is to review the terms of use for each of the applications that we've registered for and check the boxes for each. Please note that the applicable terms of use will appear based on the registration type that was selected at the beginning. You have the option to print the terms of use for any of the applications you've registered for by clicking the Print button. We will click I accept to accept the terms of use for NCE procurement, IPS, and Hub certification. Note that only a user with the role of account owner can accept the terms of use.
Now that we've accepted the terms of use, we've arrived at the final page of the NCEVP registration process. The summary page will now display and will include the company information, contacts, locations, sourcing and contracts, Hub, and terms of use sections. Here, we can expand each section to review the information which we just completed for our company. Let's expand the sections to ensure that all the details were entered accurately. This page can also be printed for your records by clicking the Print button. The State of North Carolina electronic vendor portal registration for our vendor is now complete. At this point, the vendor information is visible to you, the vendor, and to the NCEVP Help Desk agents. If the registration was completed before 5 p.m., the information will be available to buyers on the next business day. Finally, there are a few other resources that may help you as you navigate EVP.
Additional WPTs and/or job aids will be posted as they become available at eprocurement.nc.gov/training/vendor_training.html. For more information about North Carolina procurement, please view the online training from the North Carolina Division of Purchasing contract titled How to Do Business with the State at ncadmin.nc.gov/online-procurement-trainings. The NCEVP Help Desk can be reached Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 888-211-7440, option 2, or by email at vendor@nc.gov. This concludes the EVP registration training course. Thank you for your participation.